Once you have the bodice done, you can either sew in the sleeves, or if you have the skirt done, you could sew the skirt. I think I'm going to go skirt, mainly because this has the most bearing on what we're going to do next week. So right now, both of these are inside out. So I have to turn one of them right side out and put it inside of the other one. So I think I will take the bodice and turn it right side out. So now I have the bodice right side out and upside down. So this is the neck of the bodice. And I'm going to open up the skirt. I'm going to put the neck of the bodice first inside the skirt. So the neck is going to be closer to the hem than the waist. Then I'll find the center back seam of the bodice and match it up to the center back seam of the skirt. And then I will start pinning it together. So put a pin at center back waist, right through the intersection of the waist pencil line and the center back pencil line. Let me go grab some more pins. Then I'll go to the other side of the skirt. So this is one side, and then back darts, front darts, side seam, back darts, back to center back again. So, and I'll stick a pin through that. So now I have the bodice and the skirt over here. See if I can get, there we go. So I have the bodice inside the skirt, and I have the center backs pinned together. Now I'm going to go find the center fronts and align those center front grain lines with each other and put a pin in that. So now I have a pin holding my center front bodice to my center front skirt, and I have pins holding my center back bodices to my center back skirt. Now I'm going to pin my side seams together. So I'll find those side seams and stack them right on top of each other. And then I'll stick a pin right through the side seam. And just to make sure everybody's behaving, I will stick a pin through the seam allowances to keep them flat. And then we'll go to the other side. Find the other side seam, stack them right on top of each other. And then put a pin through them. And then pin those Seam allowance is open. Now we'll go back to the back and we'll bring the darts, the seam for the dart in the back bodice and the back skirt, and we'll line those dart placement, the seam where we sewed the dart, right on top of each other. And put a pin through that seam, and then put a pin through the dart excess to hold it towards the center back. And then maybe put a couple of pins between the dart and center back just to make sure all of that is lined up. And then from the center back dart to the side seam, we'll put a couple pins in there to hold that together. And I didn't stay stitch my skirt like I did my bodice waist. So my skirt is around this little, between the dart and the side seam. It's acting like it needs to be eased. So I am going to chalk it up to not stay stitching, but I'm also going to check my patterns and measure my waist arc on my back bodice and on my back skirt and make sure that they're the same. And because it feels right now like my skirt than my bodice. And if that's true, then I need to figure out which one is right, my skirt or my bodice, and I need to make corrections. And that is why we make samples, so that we can test those things. So that when I go to use this pattern later, I'm not running into this issue where I have to spend extra time dealing with ease. Now, it isn't bad sometimes to have the skirt be a little bit bigger than the bodice, because as you go from the waist, it's a slimmer, more gradual move out towards bust level. But from the waist down, it's usually waist, and then you poof right out into hips. So sometimes companies do make the skirt ease into the bodice to accommodate that body contour. If my bodice was bigger than my skirt, that would be definitely wrong. Okay, so now I have one side of the back done, and I put a bunch of ease pins. Now, another interesting thing to pay attention to is I had a lot of ease on this side. What is it like on this side? If the two sides are the same, that almost certainly means that what you found was true. But if this side fits just fine, then it probably means that my pattern is fine. If one side works out, usually your pattern is fine. But if both sides have the same issue, then it usually means that you need to take a look at it for sure, for sure. I mean, if you find a discrepancy at all, of course you look. But like I said, if it's only on one side, then you're probably not going to have the issue. So here's the section where it felt like I needed to ease my skirt into my bodice in between the dart and the side seam. And right now I'm just feeling like the skirt has a sharper curve. It doesn't feel as much ease as the other side. But I haven't done the whole thing yet, so let's see. So again, because of the curve, I need a few extra pins here to make sure that those lines that I drew stay right on top of each other. Now let's see if over here I feel, yep, I think I see ease right here. So I will go measure and walk my bodices, my back bodice to my back skirt. And again, like I said, the skirt feels curved. I did not stay stitch it, so it could have just stretched out. So I might not find any issue. But if I do, then I'll measure or check my waist arc measurement and determine if one of my two patterns are correct or if both need to be corrected. I might find that my front needs to grow a little and my skirt needs to shrink a little and my bodice needs to grow a little. Okay, so now that I have the backs done, I'm coming around towards the front and I'm gonna line up my front darts. So the seams where I sewed them together, I'm gonna line those up and put a pin in them. And then pin my dart excess down. So I'll just go through and pin my entire waist together, and then I will stitch them with a regular stitch, and then I'll come back and show you the result. All right, so skirt and bodice are sewn to each other at the waist. The skirt and pull out the bodice. So now what I need to do is press the seam allowance from the bodice up. So from the skirt and bodice up towards the bodice. So I pressed all of my seam allowance up towards the bodice. And when I look at it from the outside, what I hope to see is that this is a dart, so they're lined up, and side seams lined up. What's this? Dart. A little bit off. This one too, let's see. And they're, so it's like my whole bodice got shifted this way or my whole skirt got shifted that way. So they should line up because they're off by the same amount in opposite directions on each side. Side seam lines up, dart lines up, and center back lines up. So this is it right side out. And now all I have left to do is to notice that the skirt is only sewn up to the HBL, and then the seam allowance is clipped at the HBL to facilitate pinning it onto the dress form later. All right, so I guess next is the sleeve.